It's Thursday, it's 4 o'clock. That was Kevin Morby. This is a photograph on KRWF 95.9 LPFM Moorhead, Fargo. You're listening to the best radio station in the world as far as I'm concerned, and you're like, who's I'm? Well, I'm is Wilson. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday. I get in here right after Side Stage with Trav, who does his thing Monday through Friday, 1 to 3. And maybe he don't. Maybe it's just a day and I just made stuff up. But hey, you know, why not? It's a cannabis show. I can make stuff up, can't I? Of course I can. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson again. Every Thursday, 4 o'clock, I pop in here. 4:20, I open a big fat bag of cannabis news. This Thursday is no different. Got a bunch of stuff to talk about. I have an update on the new Approach North Dakota Ballot Initiative signature gathering. So I got good news. We'll talk about that after the first musical break, but it's a good sign. Again, the deadline is July 11th. They need 16,000 signatures, and I've got an update and a current signature count, and it's exciting. And so I'm going to make you wait a little bit while I run through the red tape. This show is brought to you by Black Cottage Alchemy, blackcottagealchemy.com, Black Cottage Alchemy on Facebook, or you can jump into your, strap a kite to your back and fly downtown here to Tochi Products. Tie the kite up alongside the porch there and head on in. Tell Joe you want some of the Black Cottage Alchemy products. He'll take care of you. And, maybe you'll have a fun conversation as well. And while you're in there, sign that stinking petition, New Approach North Dakota. 3 plants. It looks like you're going to be able to grow if this passes, up to 1 ounce. And then all the other things that bore most people. But there's a home grow allowance up to 3 plants. And there's going to be you can have an ounce. So that's exciting. And so we'll talk about that more at 4:20. Again, I believe cannabis was created by the man upstairs, God himself. And I choose to follow and take his direction now. And I shout him out every Sunday, 10 a.m., Antioch Church, 417 Main Avenue. And this Sunday, it's Pentecost Sunday, which, if you're not a Pentecostal, it's kind of like where we began. Like Pentecost Sunday is when the freaky, crazy Pentecostals, the tongue-talking cannabis advocate Pentecostal that I am, began on Sunday. And so it's going to be a big deal for us. So if you're bored, show on up. Strap on your resin-soaked seatbelt. We're going to get this Canna-Talk ND with Wilson off the ground. Again, Black Cottage Alchemy sponsors this show, and we thank you for it. What do? I talk about cannabis legalization, the benefits of cannabis. And in this segment, I got some potentially, negative things about cannabis that I'm going to talk about. It's news, and so we're going to do it. And just let me give you a teaser. If you don't know what Scromiting is, at 4:20, we're going to talk about it because it's in the news related to the new nastiness of cannabis and youngsters and kids. You got to throw the kids in there just to amp up the drama a little bit. So at 4:20, we're going to talk about that. Normally after me, Stinky Arts Music Mart is after me from 5 to 7, but he's traipsing around the cities doing what we wish we were doing, I suppose. And so shout out to him. He's probably listening on RadioFreeFargo.org, which anybody can listen to, RadioFreeFargo.org. Everybody in the world. So, no matter where you are, listen to RadioFreeFargo.org, specifically Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Even more generally, Thursdays, again, Stinky Arts Music Marts, normally after me. He's out of town in Minneapolis. Then you got locals on the 8, Radio Free Madness, Black Ring Ritual wraps up your Thursday here on the best radio station in the world as far as I'm concerned. So let's get into some music here. Canna-Talk ND on Instagram. I'll post up this show minus the music and just general news and when that happens. So let's do a little back, Here's Z-Pro 95.9. That is Z-Pro back off Guano, which I learned stands for white guy. I learned that today here on KRWF 95.9 LPFM, Moorhead, Fargo, the best radio station in the world as far as I'm concerned. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson here at 4 o'clock, 4:20, open a big fat bag of cannabis news. This Thursday is no different. We will smatter some music in amongst it. And if you live in Fargo, Moorhead, and you don't have a string on your hat, you're an idiot. I think this wind is designed to remove you of your hat. There may be a conspiracy theory that the wind has been created specifically for God, so everybody's hats can blow off into the hands of somebody who doesn't have a hat. And isn't that God? But anyway, it is windy outside, but it is beautiful out. So get outside, tie down your hat, shave off all your hair, get in a lawn chair, and listen to Canna-Talk ND with Wilson in about 10 minutes. But again, this show, programming on 95.9 Radio Free Fargo, KRFFLP FM, is being underwritten by Drummer's Journey. Drummer's Journey offers percussion instruments, hardware, electronics, accessories, and more. They have full service for drummers, including repair, custom building, and lessons. Drummer's Journey is located at Highway 10 East Mall in Moorhead, Minnesota. Their hours are Monday through Thursday, 11 to 7, Fridays and Saturdays, 11 to 5, or Sundays, noon to 5. For more info, check drummersjourney.com. They have a profile on Facebook. Well, good for Drummer's Journey. They got a Facebook. They almost say it as the last kind of thing. Oh, and by the way, we have one of them, the Instagrams, too, with the drums on it and stuff. But anyway, shout out Drummer's Journey. I guess I'm a drummer now. I've always kind of been somebody who hits stuff, but never like normal. So anyway, again, 417 Main Avenue, if you want to watch me smack the skins for the Lord this Sunday, Pentecost Sunday, 10 a.m. And I think there may be coffee this time. I don't know. We're just getting moved in because we flipped the warehouse on Main, which it looks pretty cool, and it looks right into downtown, so it's pretty sweet. But anyway, we're here to talk about cannabis, and so we're going to. New Approach North Dakota is the team, the group, the machine behind getting cannabis on the ballot. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit because I have more information. And we have a new signature update, which I know everybody will be excited to hear about it because I know it. And if you don't know it, well then you're going to be pretty excited too. So I'm happy to bring you this information here on Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. So, let me just set it up a little bit. 16,000 signatures is what we need. We need 16 actual signatures. Like nothing can get kicked out. You need 16 authenticated. Yeah, authenticated 16,000. So that's why you like to try, and I say cover the spread. You have a couple extra thousand just to cover those schmucks who came out of, a local establishment after 14 kamikazes and thought they could spell. And you were busy looking at that chick with a short skirt, so you weren't watching that guy illegibly scrawl all over the petition. That's going to be a problem if you've only got 16,000 and that idiot is the one that you need to count. So let's just say 18,000 is needed by July 11th. We're starting June. You're like, oh no, that's not enough time. Au contraire, mon frere. You don't know how many signatures have been grabbed. I do. So let me tell you this. June 2nd, they have over 9,000 signatures. Let's just give the 9,000 signatures a hand. So over 9,000 signatures for New Approach North Dakota. That's the 3-plant grow option with the ounce you can have. To be on the ballot here in November. So it's this year. We get to vote on it this year. And it just seems like nobody likes drawn out stuff. I don't. You get bored anyway. I mean, these guys came on the scene. They go, hey, in 3 months, we could get, cannabis on the ballot. You're like, what? No way. Well, again, they're over halfway there. In the month of the 2 and like some months, 2 in a week or so. So if they stay on point, and I don't doubt that they will, these guys are grinding, and I think they can smell blood now. You got 9,000. They're all full of love, They got the buzz. So, I mean, they're going to keep pushing. So do what you can. If you want to volunteer, you can get a hold of New Approach North Dakota. David Stewart Owen specifically, or you look at any of those sponsor names on the list, you get a hold of them. They can take care of you. But again, New Approach North Dakota. Downtown, if you're bored, there's going to be a guy with a petition down there. And then Orange Records and Tochi Products. And then, again, so 9,000 signatures collected so far, he says. I'm going to read here a little bit. We're excited to announce that our campaign is more than halfway to our goal. So that's exciting. 9,000 is a good number. To kick off this month, they are hosting 3 drive-through petition signing events. 4007 State Street in the Biz. Saturday, June 4th, 11 to 7. Sunday, June 5th, 11 to 7. 1111 2nd Avenue North, basically over here by Tochi Products and 10th Street. Excuse me. Saturday, June 4th also, and 5th, 11 to 7. 305 North Washington Street, same times, except 11 to 5, June 4th. And that's in Grand Forks. So if you're in any of those places, for the love that's all good and green, get in there and sign. And again, go to New Approach, North Dakota. If you're in another town other than Fargo and you need to know where to sign, or again, if you want to be that guy, you got a business, you want to use it. If you just got 2 feet and 2 hands and, half of your gray cells, and you know how to hold a petition and you can kind of use a pen, get a hold of them, because, this is going to be fun, and it's going to be nice to get this on the ballot, and it's encouraging. So shout out New Approach, North Dakota. Shout out to everybody that signed. It's a new day. It's a new dawn, and we're going to get this thing done. So, again, if you haven't signed, make sure you stinking sign, okay? And I'm going to get us into this last song before it's time. So, here's Soldier for Jesus, Joe Louis Walker. Well, yeehaw, that was Soldier for Jesus, Joe Louis Walker, up the Essential Blues. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday. We talk about cannabis in a positive light at 420. This Thursday is no different. In fact, it's happening as we stink and speak, so let's go ahead and get ready. On the other side of this.
Yo, it's Wilson from Canna-Talk ND. The super awesome show you're getting ready to listen to. I think you should go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'll wait. Okay, enjoy the show.
Well, I think we'll stop right there. Hello, everybody, and welcome to your weekly installment of Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. We talk about cannabis legalization, the benefits of cannabis, the dangers of cannabis, I guess, in this particular segment. It's kind of interesting, but, apparently the Texas shooter had a cannabis problem, and apparently a side effect for him was psychosis, and they're I guess spinning, or we get into this article that it seems to me, and again, I'm just a talker, this is an entertainment show, that it seems to me like they're trying to say that this guy shot all those kids because of cannabis. And, I mean, if you can prove it, well, then we've got a problem then, don't we? I guess. But I don't think I don't think it's real. But again, you start talking about high octane THC levels, and in excess, I mean, maybe, I know, again, some of that stuff, some of that high powerful THC stuff ain't for me. It feels like drugs. Whereas lower THCs feels more like medicine for me, So I tend to stay around that low THC, high CBD thing. That seems to be the most therapeutically workable for me. And as a Christian, I don't want it to be considered a sin as well. So if I use an excess, or if I'm ripping long bongs at parties with 90 proof THC, who knows? I mean, because that is a relatively new thing. Maybe there needs to be studies. But again, that seems to be... So let me just read you this headline, and then we'll get to it in a minute. Laura Ingraham cites cannabis as cause for mass shootings. That's a crazy, crazy article title. So we'll get to it. But first, let's talk about New York Senate. New York Senate approves bill to mandate medical cannabis health insurance coverage. So that's awesome. And I hope that sets the precedent. You know what I mean? The New York Senate approved a bill on Wednesday that would require public health insurance to cover cannabis expenses and clarify that private insurers are allowed to do the same. The legislation, sponsored by Diane Savino, moved through 2 committees before passing the Senate by a vote of 53-10, which is really cool. And it's now been transmitted to the Assembly, and then you got all those weird committees. We know about those. It would achieve that. So basically, it would amend the state public health social services, and the significant barrier to patient access is out-of-pocket costs. And so this would achieve that by defining medical cannabis as a prescription drug, covered drug, or healthcare service, which is fantastic, and it's just going to help the legitimacy of cannabis when it is now be called a covered drug or a healthcare service, which I love that. I'd like to say I utilize cannabis as a healthcare service, for sure. For thousands of patients, medical cannabis is a safer, more effective medication than other drugs, especially opioids. While it can be prohibitively expensive for many patients, especially in the absence of insurance coverage, it may often be less expensive than what their insurance coverage pays for other medications. And I would love, especially when you start talking about mental illness and whether or not cannabis could take the place of, say, like Ativans or like those crazy ones where you get that weird, what do they call it, the crackhead shuffle, the tardive dyskinesia, where you're shuffling down the street from like the phenobarbital. See, that's what happened to my uncle. He's dead now, rest in peace. And he had a lot of issues. I think he would have been much better off if he'd have just stuck with God and cannabis. But again, he thought cannabis was of the devil, so he's taking Depakote by 9,000. You know what I mean? This guy was taking drugs that would fry the legs off a cat. But you tell him, hey, there's a safer alternative, and he buys the hype, and he thinks it's from the devil, not stinking, these crazy drugs that pharmaceutical companies are pushing. If it was a healthcare service option, then, and doctors weren't being forced because of outside pharmaceutical drug monies, it'd be interesting to see when that would be an option. When the doctors would start going, you know what? I'm not going to give this guy benzodiazepines to eat for breakfast. I'm going to institute this cannabis regimen with exercise and diet or whatever. You know what I mean? So, because now they're not. There's just no motivation, and it's got nothing to do with whether they think cannabis is bad or not. There's just no financial greasing of said wheels, and there's a lot of political garbage that's gotten its way into our medical system, which, when it becomes more about policy and you look at a manual, go to page 65, see under section AB with your Medicaid A and whatever, we can't give you a walker, but we can give you a high five for free. You see what I'm saying? So anyway, this is a good sign. New York Senate approves bill to mandate. And again, I'd like to see that being followed all the way through. Now, this is crazy, and this isn't necessarily cannabis, but again, it's my show. I do what I want. Again, thanks for listening to Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday. This is my 120th show, I think. Something around there. So that's crazy. So if anybody's been there since day one, I salute ya. I salute ya. I salute ya. All right, I'm done with doing that. Canada temporarily decriminalizes 4 drugs in British Columbia as overdose deaths rise. Now, this is crazy. I mean, just that title is wild. So you're thinking, well, what 4 drugs are they going to decriminalize? Well, they already did. So just think about that in your head. And I'm going to tell you right now. Canada temporarily decrimmed opioids. So we're talking heroin, oxys, roxys, fent perks. That's the new thing now, fent perks. When you hear about blues, the fake M30s, they're talking about fent perks. Perks crossed with fentanyl. But anyway, so that's all included in opioids. So when you make that, I mean, that's crazy. I don't get it. You're trying to combat the overdose deaths by letting everybody have it? I don't know. Cocaine, MDMA, so ecstasy, and meth in British Columbia as the province looks to fight its record overdose rates. So you're saying because it's a crime, they're taking what? The product is too good? They're taking too much? I don't get Okay, so here's what I know. I know when I used to work in the group homes, there was the Grafton, right? The school of Grafton. They did horrible things to them people. They'd make them use, 50 people for one bath water. They would give them timing to eat. And there would be some that were still alive when I worked in the system. And they were cool. The cool ones were really cool. Some of them really had some issues that directly stemmed from this Grafton school for the special, right? And they had other crazy names for them. We don't need to mention them today. But again, they were marginalized and they were treated pretty poorly. And I forget what in the world I was even going to talk about. What in the world was I even? So when I first started working these group homes, like in the early 90s, like 96 or 7 or something, I went to Subway with a couple of these dudes. And this guy, and I never really knew, like I always thought like it was poor dental work, why they had like the 2 front teeth missing up top. Well, here they timed at this Grafton school, the state school, they would only give you a certain amount of time to eat. And if you didn't get your food ate, you got the plate yanked and you didn't finish getting your calories. And it became, they controlled the food. So some of these cats would smack out or pry out these teeth in the front. Sometimes with the butter knife, it was gnarly. Or they would smack it down on the table, bam, bam, to get them teeth out. Then they could eat faster. And I remember being at a Subway where this guy shoved entire foot long into his mouth. And again, it was too much. It became a big, gross, icky scene. But I remember going, well, man, dude, chill, man. We got all the time in the world, man. You know, and then I was told, well, that's why he doesn't have his 2 teeth. He doesn't think that he's going to have enough time to get this food. And it's better than he normally eats. So he just, you know, it was like giving him gold and saying, I'm going to take it if you don't get it hid. So it seems similar to me, like with this, you know, is that what's happening? Because it's a crime, they hurry up and take it. They don't take their time. They go, you know what? I don't want to take only half of this because then I'll be busted for the other half later when I'm twitching around like a turkey neck, right? Because otherwise, what's the point? How do you get your overdose rates down when you decrim the drug? Because then won't more people be stinking overdosing? You know what I mean? I don't get it, but it is trippy to think that the Canadian government on Tuesday announced decrim of possession of small amounts of illegal drugs. Now, and I don't know who and what and how you guys are on the spectrum when it comes to guns, but Canada, they essentially banned handguns and decrimmed all these crazy drugs. And now, I don't know. I'm just a guy talking to a mic, looking outside, wishing everybody the best. That seems like a crazy recipe. You make all handguns illegal and you allow crack and speed and smack, crack, and speed is the new Rice Krispie poster, guys. The 3 guys in the Rice Krispie guys are the smack, crack, and meth. Smack, crack, and whack. Snap, crackle, and pop. That's hilarious. Anyway, just so you know, Canada's going to decrim. They grappled with the nation's highest rate of overdose. The policy covers possession of up to 2.5 grams total. I mean, so that's what, like a gram less than an 8 ball? Whew. I mean, I don't know. Because I guarantee you, 2.5 grams of stinking Fent perks will kill you. You know, so I don't get it. The reform will take effect on January 31st, 2023, so you guys got time, and they will remain in place for 3 years. They will not apply in airports, schools, child care, Coast Guard, or helicopters. British Columbia declared drug-related deaths a public health emergency. Okay. Since the pandemic, the opioid use has caused a record of 2,200 deaths compared to 17. The rate is one of the highest per capita in North America. Dr. Bonnie Henry issued a report calling for broad drug decrim and said there was not a lot of support for it at any level. So the reforms are backed by police associations. Some have called for the policy to be expanded nationally and to allow larger possession limits. It's like crying out loud. 2.5 grams of crack isn't enough. Do it and get more, dude. Whatever. Under the policy, individuals over 18 found carrying the 4 drugs will not be charged, arrested, or have their drugs seized. Instead, police will ask if the person would like to be referred to health and social services. That is nuts. So there you go. And then let me just say this again for fun, just in case nobody was listening whenever I say this. In all the legal states, cannabis has outsold tobacco, which is horrible, and booze, which causes all kinds of issues. So when you look at decrimming, I'm not so sure this isn't going to cause more social decay. I'm not so sure that it won't. I'm not so sure this is the solution, you know, but give it a shot. But I say, if you find anybody over 18 carrying these 4 drugs, don't charge them, don't arrest them, but take it. Take their drugs. Seize them, take it all. And then give them a joint for each, you know, like give them the difference. If they can have 2.5 grams, bump it up and give them 1.5 ounces or something for fun. That's what they should do. They should yank your drugs and give you cannabis. Because I certainly know that when I was certainly desperate, I'd ran out of speed, I didn't have a lot of money, I was hoping I could just juke and jive, maybe just have a nice personality to the guy that had an extra $0.25 or something. And he'd be like, oh, this guy's cool. Maybe he'd be fun to, snort lines with, kind of. So it was like that desperation. I didn't really have money. And it just was a horrible, horrible feeling. And it just like you could never relax. And I just remember this one time post-Empire, this girl, bless her heart, if I see her again, I'll thank her. She's like, well, here, I don't have any meth, but I got this. We can go out to my car. And it completely changed everything. It made me feel better. I got my appetite. I thought, what in the world am I doing at this stupid bar? I ain't been to bed and whatever. I've got all this stuff that I haven't done at my place. I'd really like a shower. I'm out of here. And that's what cannabis did for a guy who probably, if I'd have seen a purse or if I'd have seen something that I could have taken advantage of to get that drug, meth was my thing, I would have did it. But once cannabis entered my lungs, my brain changed. It became content. Like it realized that the thing that I was trying to do, it wasn't necessary. So I say, instead of decrimming all this stuff, just do like a gun buyback. When you bust a dude with smack, take a smack and give him some green crack. Give him some cannabis. Give him a brownie. Give him one of those one of them ears with the bite bitten off Mike Tyson's edibles. But anyway, let's keep cruising, huh? I'm getting sidetracked, but that's all right. So let's talk about this stinking thing. This is Fox News. Laura Ingraham cites cannabis as cause for mass shootings. Now, well, just read this, and, I'm going to be non-committal to any particular thing. I'm just going to read this because, especially my daughter being a teacher, this really affected her. I certainly don't want to come off as insensitive or that I don't care or that sort of thing, so I don't really want to take a side. I don't want you to think that I think one way or the other, especially if you lost a kid or if somebody, you know what I mean? Like, cause I don't want it to be like that, and it really affected my daughter. And so this is a big deal, but this is kind of interesting as well. So let me talk to you about Cannabis Hyperemesis disorder. So Cannabis Hyperemesis, apparently, Cannabis Hyperemesis syndrome. All right. It's a cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome. Is a condition that leads to repeated and severe bouts of vomiting. It's rare and only occurs in daily long-term users of cannabis, which are trying to say, was this Uvalde shooter guy. These include THC and related chemicals. These substances bind to molecules found in the brain. So apparently there's severe nausea and vomiting, and it occurs in people who use cannabis regularly. But they also say it's very rare. And so just for fun, it's called scromiting. So apparently not only do you vomit, you scream. Now, it really sounds like a reefer madness thing. It really does. I've had my, in excess, I'm sure I'm talking to at least 4 people that have used daily for their entire lives. They've taken more than they probably should. They went, oops, maybe I shouldn't have ate that extra, 1,000 milligrams, whatever the case may be. They call it greening out when you do too much, and it is uncomfortable, and, but screaming while you puke, it's scary. If I were to tell kids, listen, kids, don't do drugs, don't do cannabis, because you will scrom it. They're like, what's, yeah, Bobby? Yeah, you had a question? Yeah, Mr. Wilson? Because that's what I would be if I was a teacher. I'd be like, yes, Jimmy? What's scromiting? Well, it's screaming while you throw up. Oh, what? You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't even, that side, there isn't even scary side effects like that in the real drugs, Do you throw up on booze? I could throw up on booze right now. You give me some crazy, what do they call them, snake bites? You give me a tequila whiskey shot, half tequila, half whiskey, and I'm going to puke on your stupid face. Intentionally, because you'll suck if you do that to me. But you know what I mean? So what you call that? You don't scrom it off, slamming you don't shotgun a bottle of Fireball and do a little scromiting? You know, you add the screaming. You got to add the screaming. Come on. So let's get into this a little bit, okay? So Fox News host, she suggested that the rising consumption and normalization of cannabis is an attributing factor to mass shootings in the U.S. Oh, that's heavy, isn't it? Okay. So she suggested that the rising use and cultural acceptance is the attributing factor to the trend of mass shootings. And that just sounds wild to me, okay? So in a segment titled The Unintended Consequences of Normalizing Pot, which I say cannabis, the conservative television host honed in on the use of cannabis by the teenager who murdered 21 people, including the 19 students and 2 teachers, which is sad. And let's just take a few seconds of silence to acknowledge that tragedy. In her segment, Ingraham highlights a report by the New York Times that had originally stated the school shooter had been a cannabis consumer. Okay, so you jump from there? You go from a cannabis consumer to the reason why he killed all those people? That just seems like a jump. It just seems like a jump. But the reference to cannabis was later pulled from online editions of the article, and she suggests that Times backpedaling could be due, and here we go, could be due to a powerful pro-cannabis bias meant to protect that, whatever this one word is, NASCENT, multi-billion-dollar cannabis industry. And it's by far that. I mean, it could be, well, yeah, it's a multi-million-dollar cannabis industry, but so is booze, and so is stinking, to get weird, so is abortions. It's all about money. Booze is crazy. Tobacco is crazy. And just look at all, and that's another thing. Booze crimes happen all the time. I mean, there'll probably be a booze-related crime happening in the next couple hours just in downtown Fargo alone. And I talk out of my hindy hole a lot, so that might not be the case, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, so I don't believe that they backpedaled at all. And in fact, cannabis use is kind of like it's the underdog. It's not being touted as this huge moneymaker. If in fact it's the reason why a lot of legislators and money backers don't even get behind it, because there isn't a lot of money or potential money. Okay, so let's keep going. Oh man, I'm going to run out of time here. So the American people are hearing a lot about AR-15s and background checks, but they also deserve to hear about this as well. Respected cannabis studies for years now have demonstrated that cannabis use, especially among teens, can trigger psychosis and increase the chance the young person will develop violent behaviors. Let me see some of them studies. I'd like to read some of them studies, and I have heard about teens and psychosis being triggered. And I've also heard, and here's what she says, research finding that high-potency cannabis products can carry an increased chance of psychosis for some consumers, and suggested that more public and education awareness about the issue is warranted. So if we're talking about, taking a gram dab of 90% to the dome like a gangster over time, maybe, and I'm old school. When I was a kid, I don't even know if it was more than 10% THC in anything that we got. I doubt it. That was considered the best. So a lot of it had 6%, 5%, and even like stuff where like 3% had a big, I remember as a kid, a medical value for me. When my friends be like, this is crap, they call it the brown frown, right? You guys feel me? Stinking brown frown. And I would smile. I had no problems with the brown frown because it was attaching to, because it was mostly CBD. It was mostly attaching to my receptors in a very non-psychotic way, because my brain's very active. I could get into something if my brain didn't have a little extra help. Now, again, I have done the high potency, and there is, in my head, it triggers some old memories of drugs. And like I said last week, especially those stinking nectar collectors. You take a torch, you heat up the tip, you stick it in some waxy looking meth stuff and inhale. So I don't know. I can't say that there isn't some sort of psychosis that could be triggered with, the kind of stuff that's being made nowadays. However, it certainly might cause, say, a psychosis in, say, a young kid, but in an 80-year-old lady with bad hips, maybe the high-potency cannabis product is exactly what she would need. You know what I'm saying? So look that up yourself. I'm going to keep moving, but Yeah, they're trying to reinstitute some reefer madness. This is from High Times. Cannabis joke on Jeopardy triggers viewers. So let's read this. A harmless cannabis joke is at the center of a controversy. Fans reacted to commentary on a recent Jeopardy episode. The show is often the topic of bizarre controversies. The host, Maim Bayalik, faced a steep battle to be accepted by fans. Bayalik was confronted on social media for wearing the same outfit. Oh, come on. She was accepted at the game show after Ken Jennings. Nearly every show host faced uphill odds trying to fill the shoes of Trebek. This guy, Bonnie, chose the category ripped from the headlines for 400, please. 400, Pat. Contestants were confronted with the phrase, cannabis issues sent to this committee generally composed of members of both House and of a legislator. Contestant Ryan Long, who is current reigning champion, guessed, what is a bipartisan committee? But he guessed incorrectly. Long is a rideshare driver by trade and won 12 episodes of the show in a row undefeated. Co-host said the correct answer was, what is a joint committee? By a leak added, get it with a snicker, referring to the double meaning and drawing some guarded laughter from the crowd. The slightest allusion to the devil's lettuce is enough to stir controversy to the show's fans, who are typically older in age. Newsweek reported the show's median viewer is 65 years old. Let's see, it's not the first time the joke about joint committees has appeared. But anyway, the joke was well received by most viewers. Some Twitter users weren't having it. This one lady goes, why don't people let her alone? I love her quirkiness. I checked your whatever. I plead. Yeah, so let's see. The late former show host Trebek could toss around a joke or two about cannabis as well. When interviewed by Marlon Stowe, Trebek recalled one time he got wasted on hash edibles, crying out loud, but taking too many of them by accident. We know how that can play out. It was by accident. I know what they were, Trebek said. I just arrived in Cali, went to a friend's house. There were brownies. I love brownies. I didn't realize they were hash brownies, and whoa, that threw me for a loop. I looked down about a half dozen while crying out loud. Trebek, what kind of psychosis did he end up with? You know what I'm saying? So let's see. What do we got here? Virginia lawmakers considering stricter cannabis possession laws. You can go ahead and Google that. You've been listening to Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Every Thursday I get in here at 4 o'clock. 4:20, open a big fat bag of cannabis news, and that's what I just knocked out today, and I think I did a pretty good job. So, programming on KRFF, LPFM, Radio Free Fargo, 95.9er is being underwritten by Flatland Guitar and Luthery. Flatland Guitars, your full-service guitar shop, and your exclusive dealer for Yamaha, Taylor, Paul, Reed Smith guitars, and other brands. They sell guitars on consignment. They take trade-ins. They have a full-service on-site repair center. Check out your Flatland Guitar and Luthery on Facebook, or visit them in person at 1450 25th Street South in Fargo. Their hours are Monday through Friday, 10 to 6, Saturdays, 10 to 5, closed Sundays. Thank you, Flatland Guitar, for underwriting this radio station. Okay, let's listen to some music. I got some new Bo Burnham for you. Here's That Funny Feeling. It's brand new on 95.9. Ba-da-ba-da, That Funny Feeling. Bo Burnham. And that was pretty cool on 95.9 KRFF, Radio Free Fargo. You're listening to your boy Wilson. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday. I'm on my way out the door. Normally Stinky Arts Music Mart would be right after me, but he's traipsing around Minneapolis listening to stuff that we don't get to listen to. I'm assuming he'll be back next Thursday. I will be. And Locals on the 8, Radio Free Madness, Black Ring Ritual wraps up your Thursday. This show is brought to you by Black Cottage Alchemy. Black Cottage Alchemy on Facebook. Black Cottage Alchemy.com. Black Cottage Alchemy products and Tochi products downtown here. It's made with kosher full spectrum CBD, North Dakota grown hemp, 1,600 mgs of CBD, mango, shea, cocoa, butter, beeswax, coconut oil, colloidal silver, turmeric, arnica, myrrh, and a few other stuff. It's good for neuropathy, pain, radiation, chemo burns, tattoo aftercare, feet, toe, and foot fungus, and all over soothing. So get you some of that Tochi products or blackcottagealchemy.com. And while you're in Tochi Products, sign the New Approach North Dakota cannabis petition. It's going to allow an ounce up to 3 plants. Orange Records also does that. And if you weren't listening in the beginning of the show, the update is there's over 9,000 signatures compiled and grabbed. They need 16 by July 11th, so that's good news. If you want to get out and get some signatures, get a hold of New Approach North Dakota. If you just want to sign, check that website out as well, or Orange Records or Tochi Products. Again, if you're looking to get your church on, it's Pentecost Sunday at my church. I'm on the skins once again. My stick blister's healing. But that's 417 Main Avenue come check us out if you want to get your God on. Cannabis legalization, again, new approach, North Dakota. If you see it circulating, you haven't signed it, stinking sign it. But if you need some encouragement, we're well over halfway done already. So that's good. That's good stuff. Really good stuff. So educate yourself on the benefits of cannabis so you can educate others on said benefits. I'll be back in next Thursday like I always am. However, I feel like there's one Thursday in July. I'll be at Bible camp. Holla! But anyway, I'm out of here. Okay? So until next Thursday, here's David Allen. Judgment Day. Peace.